All right, you guys, video 3 in the series I'm doing on infertility. If you missed the other couple of videos, make sure you go back and watch them. I'm Dr. Beth Westie, women's health and hormone expert. I'm also licensed in acupuncture, Chinese medicine, as well as a functional medicine practitioner. Remember, a lot of things I'm going to be talking about are actually coming from that Eastern medicine perspective. So if it sounds weird to you, that's probably because you've only heard things from a Western medicine perspective. So if this isn't for you, then, you can move on to other things, of course, right? Yes. But we're going to be talking about a few things that I see. And this is actually one of the most common things that I see when I see fertility issues. This is something called the long follicular phase, a long estrogen phase. Long. This phase is too long. Normally the estrogen phase or the follicular phase is supposed to be the first couple of weeks. And you can see here, I've tried to demonstrate it by this blue line. When we're checking basal body temperature, of course, it's because that's easy to do at home. It extends beyond day 14 when you should ovulate, and it should spike. It extends too long. This might be day 19, day 20, day 21. And then you're thinking, oh, my temperature elevated. I ovulated. Yes, this is great. And maybe your cycle ends at day 28, and maybe this is short, but maybe this actually extends out for you. And your cycle is longer, say 34 days. And you're thinking, yeah, it's regular though. It's a regular 34 days. That's normal for me. That's fine. When we're looking at things from from a balanced perspective, having 3 weeks of a lower basal body temperature is too long. It is too long. You're having an increase of estrogen there. Estrogen is sort of taking over and then not really letting progesterone come in and do its job. You want things to counterbalance each other. This is not a good counterbalance. Now, how do you know, besides taking basal body temperature, because sometimes gals are like, I check my temperature and it's driving me crazy because how do I know I'm doing the right thing? This is where Dutch testing comes in. And this is an example of what a cycle mapping test looks like. You take your hormone testing throughout the month here, and it shows you where your levels should be. So this is an example of, look, this estrogen actually looks okay, but see how the progesterone just is not coming up? That's not great. Here on this page, this is just a smaller picture. They have this online too, but I do want to show you again. This is kind of what we're looking at. See how long this is here? And again, progesterone's coming up. Yay, it's there. But it's too long. It's too long. That is an overall long cycle. Again, sometimes people say, oh, it's 40 days, blah, blah, blah. Still, if it's longer than 30 days in Eastern medicine, that would be considered too long. And we would want to take a look at that to make sure that you're not ovulating way too late or if you're ovulating at all. That's one of the beautiful things about getting a cycle mapping test done. We can see exactly what's going on. No guesswork. No wondering if you took your temperature at the right time or anything. That's one of the really tough things here is that you can say, oh my gosh, did I do it wrong? Am I screwing it up? Ooh, what's happening? Cycle mapping test, it tells you exactly. So that's the really fun thing there. But when we're looking at this overall, if this is what is happening for you, then this is considered a blood deficiency or a kidney yin deficiency. Your system is too cold. Your uterus is too cold. And you might be thinking, I don't feel cold. I feel hot all the time, or I sweat so much, or this or that. Those are different reasons that you'd be sweating. Your uterus and everything else is too cold and too stagnant. Too stagnant. Things are not moving through there like it should. Fluid energy is not moving through that uterus like it should. So again, if this sounds weird, this is the Eastern medicine side of it, but the uterus is too cold and we have to speed things up and we want to get it warmed up and we want to get stuff moving through here right at that day 14. So that's what we would encourage. That's what we would encourage. You hit day 14, you switch over to the progesterone balance tincture. You really be diligent about it. You do the seed cycling for progesterone, sesame and sunflower seeds. Do all the warming foods. Physically make your body warm. Wear socks. Wear a hat. Do not let your system get too cold. If you feel uncomfortable being warm, you want to think about warming up those fluids and make sure you're using certain tactics and tools to help move your lymph. Dry brushing, Epsom salt baths, all that stuff is going to be really helpful to get things moving and keep from being stagnant here. Now, the other thing, and I've written this at the bottom, endometriosis, fibroids, and adenomyosis. These are conditions that I see that are really, really common with having a long follicular phase. Really, really common. you have that excess estrogen issue. And when we do a Dutch test, we would see that on there, excess estrogen. These are estrogenic tissues. The tissue itself, the endometrial tissue, will have elevated levels of estrogen compared to serum or blood. That is because of the reaction of the tissue when you have endometriosis. So this is more like, and again, I'm gonna use estrogen dominance and excess estrogen issue. You're gonna have a longer follicular phase, that longer estrogen phase. It does not switch over into the progesterone phase. And again, very commonly, if you have this doesn't mean that you have endometriosis, of course, but a lot of gals that I work with that have endo, that have fibroids, that have adenomyosis and those issues, this is what they present with as well. So there's different tactics that we use. Again, I listed some out with the warming foods to get started with everything else. But again, how do you know for sure? Cycle mapping test. Stop guessing, stop running in circles, stop feeling like you're doing everything right but not getting a result. When you test, you know for sure. So I've got info in the links below this video. Please let me know if you have any questions. Do not hesitate to reach out. And if you found this helpful, please share it with somebody that you know could use this information and get started with it. Otherwise, I do have more info about eating for warming and cooling in my book, The Female Fat Solution. Make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed to my podcast, The Female Health Solution. That way, the rest of the series you get notified on, and all the other information on women's hormones and health coming up. Okay, that's what I got for you today. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you later.